So recently I've been talking about Fujifilm's X100V. I said that it is the best camera that money could buy. But when it comes to actually getting a camera that can do so many things and is so versatile, more than basically any other camera, there's only one that holds that place. Now you've heard the term, jack of all trades, master of none, but the actual full Shakespearean quote is jack of all trades, master of none is oftentimes better than a master of one. In this review, you're gonna be able to point out that this camera does this better, and this camera may do this and this better, and this camera does this, this, and this, or this camera does this. So the best overall, most versatile camera, no shocker, Fujifilm's X Pro 3. So when it comes to this jack of all trades kind of ideal, we have to take some things into account. Number one, were regular film photographers able to bitch and moan and make an excuse that I didn't get the shot because they didn't have autofocus back in the day? No, they were supposed to get the shot no matter what. Whenever autofocus first came out, where street photographers, portrait photographers, whatever, allowed to actually miss the shot because they didn't have great eye autofocus in the early 2000s, into the 2010s, no, they had to still get the shot. You couldn't get paid if you didn't get the shot. For sports photography right now, let's say a few years ago before the A9, if you missed the shot, were you held liable? Yeah, why? Because there's no excuse to not get the shot. Just because the 1DX Mark III, just because the Sony A9 Mark I, just because they're not brand new cameras doesn't mean they're shit cameras, right? And the same thing goes for this X Pro 3. Yeah, it's not the newest camera. No, it's not the X-T4. No, it's not the XH2S, X2, XH2, whatever it is. No, it's not that camera, but it's still a very capable camera and one that actually does the job. I legitimately shoot paid shoots, whether for sports, portraits, whatever it is, events, with this camera, and it does its job. I'm continually being put on assignment, whether with the MILB, the USL, the PBR, the ABBI, and even now at the MLS, I'm on assignment with the Austin FC. I'm going to still use this camera, and it goes back to the same thing. Listen, being a skilled photographer has nothing to do with your camera. Your camera isn't limited by the specs. Your camera is limited by you. It doesn't matter if the specs are old, you can still get the job done. It just matters how well do you know the basics and fundamentals of photography, number one. And number two, you're really gonna find out, do I lean on my camera as a crutch, or am I the real deal when it comes to making fantastic images? So really quickly, we're gonna talk about street photography, which is probably what this camera was made for. It's the bread and butter. It's a good looking ass camera. It's small, it's sleek, with this amazing titanium build, this amazing OVF and EVF that gives you a fantastic feeling. Now, it's not an actual digital rangefinder patch, kind of like what Leica has, or a rangefinder patch, period. But what it does have is amazing focusing systems, and I've got a whole video on this whenever you're using manual focus lenses, as well as amazing autofocus. Whether you're choosing your focus points, your focus zones, etc., there's a whole bunch of buttons on the back to be able to give you what you need to be able to customize them. It is fantastic. Couple that with the fact that they've got a rear hidden LCD screen, which a lot of people hate, which, as you see, I opened it up and it's not that hard to open up, and honestly people bitch about this for no reason. It's an amazing street photography camera. It keeps you in the moment and you're able to do your job. The autofocus is great. The lenses that pair with this, the autofocus lenses from Fujifilm, they're great. The button placement, the clicks of everything, the shutter, no matter what it is, this whole thing is just fantastic. It's got dual card slots, it's weather sealed. It is a great camera. And when it comes to putting anything on there, adding on in-mount lenses is a joy, because the camera's small enough, light enough, and it just fits and it looks pretty badass. So overall, camera's built for street photography. You can't really get around it. And honestly, this may be where this camera shines the most. The next thing to talk about is portrait photography. Now, when you're looking at this camera, it is beautiful and it's a fantastic conversation starter, but that's not where the benefits end. First off, it's got amazing autofocus, whether you're using IAF, whether you're using just autofocus for just a group of people, whether it's zone or whatever. This thing is a beauty. It is fantastic. If you have people walking towards you, away from you, no matter what, this thing will be able to keep up and get the job done. The images that are gonna come out of this are fantastic as well. No, it's not a 40, 50, 60 megapixel sensor, but at 26.1 megapixels, the images are sharp, the colors are fantastic, and it gets the damn job done every single time. The processor is fast, the buffer doesn't get filled up for those of you that like to spray and pray and then get the shot that way. It is an amazing camera. Now, a lot of people will say, is it better than the X-T4? Is it better than the X-T3? Well, here's the thing, it's not gonna miss a shot that the X-T4 or the X-T3 wouldn't miss. Period. In the same vein, it's not going to miss a shot that a Sony A7 III, A7 IV, A9, A1 is going to not miss. this camera is a great camera. You're going to hit focus whenever you have someone that is here for a portrait, whenever you have someone that is here and they want a family portrait. You're not going to miss focus. Again, it matters more about the photographer sucking than it does if the camera is going to suck, because guess what? Everything in this camera screams professional, and because of that, it is a professional tool that always performs when you need it to. Again, for portraits, for any type of photography like that, this camera is a must-have. Last thing I want to cover whenever it comes to the types of photography you can do with this camera and why I think it's so versatile. Sports photography is fantastic for this camera. I have this on with the 50 to 140, a great lens, fantastic lens. This is actually what I shoot my sports photography with. I've shot PBR events in the ABBI for a documentary with PBR in association with the Bullmen. I've actually used this in order to shoot the USL, MILB, etc. This camera has done it all. And one of the greatest things is just how light, but also how ergonomic it is. Especially when you add on one of these grips with the thumb grip, this thing is fantastic. Adding this whenever you have a monopod is great, and being able to hold and weight yourself here is fantastic. It's not heavy, it doesn't weigh you down. It's amazing the fact that I don't have to look for things to come into the frame like I would on an SLR you see on behind the camera, but even worse, my nose is all jammed up against it. This big old snoz can be off to the side, my man, and I can see things coming in the frame this way. Again, the button placement is great. The frames per second are more than enough, whether in any electronic or mechanical. It's just a great camera altogether. The dual card slots are fast. There's nothing more you can ask for. Honestly, a lot of times whenever I'm shooting this, I'm having to shoot straight out of camera JPEG in order to get it to a publication. And guess what? It's easy because the JPEGs coming out of this are fantastic. They're nice, they're sharp. I can edit them the way that I want them to look. I can shoot certain things off of a film Eterna preset, Pro Neg High, Classic Chrome, Classic Neg, whatever I want it to look like. I can make it look like inside the camera before I send it out to where I have to do minimal editing. It's just an amazing camera. I've used this against an X-T4, an X-T3, an X-H1, and guess what? This has been my most successful camera for sports photography. Listen, when people see this camera, they say, oh my gosh, well, is it as good as those for autofocus? Yes, it is, and I'm telling you again, there were no shots that I get on this or that I've missed on this that wouldn't be missed on an A9 and A1. If an A9 and A1 get 21 out of 22 shots, this is getting 19 out of 21, 19 out of 22. And listen, if you're someone who actually shoots sports photography, you'll understand that that's very, very damn good regardless, and that a lot of times all those extra images is something for you to cull. As long as you get these shot, you're gonna do great. Couple this with the sports ES mode that's actually in this, and it is fantastic. This is a must-have. Get the extra zoom and the extra reach. I am in heaven every time I use this. This will continue to be my sports photography camera, and is the reason why I'm not immediately looking at the XH2S to be able to replace this. Before we go on, I just want to pay some bills today and talk to you about today's sponsor, Simply Carbon Fiber. Simply Carbon Fiber reached out to me a few weeks ago and asked if they could be a sponsor of the channel. I made sure to tell them, send me what you have, and if I like it and if I think it's a legit product, I'll allow you to be a sponsor on the channel. And lo and behold, they sent me some things and they were fantastic. Real actual carbon fiber that I actually like, and it's things that I can actually use. For example, this wallet is actually very, very nice. Retention is perfect, and it passes the Flossie Carter shake test no matter what with any cards, and including an extra little tile that I had in here. Even more than that, the thing that I've been rocking absolutely every day has been this phone case. Now, Simply Carbon Fiber doesn't have just these things. They have a whole bunch of other accessories that you can see on their website, simplycarbonfiber.com. They have anything from shades to actual screen protectors and so on and so on. And you can actually get a discount by using the discount code DR10 after following the link that is in the description as well as pinned in the comments. So again, thank you to Simply Carbon Fiber. I actually like the things they've sent. I've actually been using them, and I'm very, very thankful for what it is that they've sent me and for wanting to be a sponsor of this channel. And that's almost it with this camera. I mean, it's a beautiful, amazing camera. I love every single thing about it. And one of the things that I really want to get out of the way is this stigma that small cameras can't be professional, or small cameras can't be used for things like sports, or even things for like portraits or events. Listen, this is a small camera, yes, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't perform. A lot of people assume that having a larger camera or something that looks the part will help them be better, and it doesn't whatsoever. The sensor doesn't matter, the body size doesn't matter, the photographer matters. Knowing what light does and what it doesn't do, knowing how to work shutter, knowing how to eliminate shake and drag is going to be more important than what camera you're actually using. Listen, I have used this and continue to use this camera for a lot of professional work, for these amazing situations, whether in sports photography or documentary photography. And you have to ask yourself, if you have yourself a nice big ass camera and you're going to write in the comments down below that no true professional would use this, and you're not getting the work that I'm using, maybe it's not my camera, maybe it's me, and it's that your images are shit. So stop relying on your camera to be your end-all be-all of what's really great. Listen, when mirrorless cameras were beginning, they were supposed to be small. And I'm glad Fujifilm continues to keep these cameras small. I'm glad Leica continues to keep their camera small, because this is what it was supposed to be. It wasn't until DSLR shooters who were overcompensating had to jump in and say something about, we want a large camera, we want a large grip. Listen, it's not a big deal. My hands are damn humongous. I trip out people when I tell them I have a size 13 foot and they understand that I'm shorter than 6 foot. It amazes people. And listen, whenever it comes to holding this camera, it is grippy, it is nice in all the right places. I don't complain about ergonomics. I don't complain about having to have a big battery grip. I've never ran out of battery with this camera because I don't have the rear facing LCD. If I need a chimp, if I need to do something, if I need to look at my image, I'm going to do it like any other professional would, and I'm going to try to wait until a quarter, until a half, until in between certain innings to, number one, swap out my batteries, or number two, send a photo because I have to meet a deadline. We can't keep pretending like these small cameras, these small batteries are what's hindering us from making great images. 9 times out of 10, what's hindering you is you. And that other 1 out of 10 is because user error with the camera. You guys, stop letting your camera be an excuse for why you can't do something, because a lot of cameras are very similar to the X Pro 3. They may not be the best at any one thing. They may not be the best camera at anything, but you know what they are? They are a jack of all trade. Even though to you, it may be a master of none, majority of the time, it's going to be better than someone else's little master of one. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed it. Take it light, but take it, and have a good one.